Hello again everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another speed build video in The Sims 4. I hope you're all having the most amazing day ever so far. Thank you so much for joining me here today. So we're building something a little bit different today. Typically I would not build rental lots in The Sims 4. I think honestly this is my first time actually doing this, and we are building in Chestnut Ridge, which is of course the world that came with the Sims 4 horse ranch, and I have chosen this lot here, which is the 30 by 30 lot, and I'm gonna be honest, I kind of fell in love with this build and I didn't think I was going to. I actually attempted to build a giant horse ranch with some stables and an incredible house on the lot as well, and I'm still determined to do that this year. But I did attempt to do that before I tried this build and it didn't work out how I wanted it to, and so I was like, okay, let's just try something else. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's try something completely different that I've never done before. And I was like, I'm going to build like a weekend getaway cabin, but like a really high-end open plan just cabin that you and your Sims can visit perhaps for the weekend. It could be like a couple's getaway. You could come away with just 2 Sims or 4 Sims. That's kind of how I would market this build, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. Honestly, there's so many activities for your Sims to partake in here. There's a hot tub on the deck. There's of course some seating areas along this like wrap-around deck, which of course, given the name, wraps around the entire property, so you get all of these beautiful views of Chestnut Ridge. And I also loved doing these columns, this column trick here at the front, which to me just screams high-end log cabin. And another thing I really like about this build is that I decided to use some more honey-based woods, which is something that I would usually steer away from, but for some reason with this build I was like, okay, let's just embrace this. I'm really trying a lot harder to become a little bit more comfortable with different tones of wood, shall we say, because this is one that I would usually avoid. Honestly, it does scare me a little bit. I think a lot of that is to do with the G-shade preset that I use. I use the original Dove preset, but I have applied a couple of tweaks just to make it a little bit more my sort of style. And I think honestly a lot of the times I avoid colour is because sometimes the G-shade presets can obviously, because they are slightly more, well, they're more saturated than the game's natural colours. So sometimes I think, oh, well, I'm going to stay away from reds because they look so overly saturated with the preset. But honestly, I think this looks really good. And you can see that the shape has already come together. This is when I decide that it was looking a little bit odd because of this left-hand side bit here, if you want to call it that. It was just, I don't know, it was looking a little bit weird with the fact that the deck kind of came out and there was nothing underneath to actually support that structure. So you can see that I did add this area here, and this is actually where the stairs end up going. So I think honestly this is for me, by the way. This is just because I don't tend to build things like this ever. So when we get onto the interior, I think a lot of you are going to be quite shocked at some of the choices that I made with the interior because it's so not me. But my husband and I often go away to a cabin which is based in the UK. It's nothing like this, it's a single story cabin, but when I was building this, honestly, I was thinking of that cabin. Like it's just beautiful, and you can smell the wood within it as well, and I did feel like you can definitely like get that vibe from this cabin. When I was doing the interior, I could just smell the wood. I know that sounds really weird, but I could almost smell it. So I'm really thrilled with how this turned out. We're just currently trying to work out the exterior because it's not a particularly big lot, and I didn't want this lot to have a back garden as such. I just wanted it to be kind of surrounded by the landscape whilst ensuring that we had plenty of activities for your Sims to partake in whilst they stayed here. And again, going back to what I said at the beginning about, I think this would be a perfect getaway for your Sims to perhaps enjoy their honeymoon, or if like 2 Sim couples wanted to come away for the weekend, I think that would be really nice. You could rent this out for the week. and explore Chestnut Ridge. You could go horseback riding and all that stuff. I love the vibe of this, honestly, and it's so different from what I tend to build on the channel as well, so it really does feel like a breath of fresh air. And because we are entering spring, I think we're officially in spring now. What is it? Coming up to the end of April start of May when this video goes up. So we are entering spring now. So I do like to do sort of season-based builds on the channel. So I'll do like spring and summertime builds. And then, of course, when it comes to like autumn and Halloween and Christmas, that's, you know, where I tend to thrive a little bit more because I absolutely adore autumn and winter. And so I tend to do builds that kind of marry up with the time of year that I'm currently in as well. I think a lot of people do that, but I think it just kind of helps get into the spirit of the season, as it were. But yeah, the landscaping for this build proved to be a teeny tiny bit challenging because I didn't really want to overwhelm the space with too much landscaping, but then I also wanted the landscaping to feel quite natural because I wanted it to have this feel of, well, it's like a cabin, not a cabin in the woods because this isn't in the woods, but I wanted the landscaping to just feel as natural as possible. And then when I pulled out these sunflowers, like, it just helped the honey woods pop so much. And then I did add some hints of this lavender as well, which I think worked really well with the greens, the yellows that we already had in place too. So yeah, I do think it came together in the end quite well. I was a little bit stumped. I would usually go a little bit heavier with the landscaping on my builds, but I think because of the type of build that this is, it didn't really need me to go over the top with the landscaping. I think the cabin itself just holds its own, if that makes sense. It holds its own kind of, it has a vibe to it, and I didn't want to overwhelm the space with too much greenery. However, I do think adding just like these hints of these colours along with, of course, the greens that you would typically find with trees and bushes, and I think it just ended up working. I really do. Now, we do end up working on the back part of the, I wouldn't call this a decking, it's more like a wraparound balcony, right? But I did want to make this space a little bit bigger than the front because I knew that this is where I wanted to add the hot tub. I don't think you can have a cabin like this, especially when you're designing one for like weekends away. You can't not have a hot tub. Like, it's not possible. The cabin that my husband and I go to quite often does have a hot tub on site, like with the cabin itself, that's like, it's kind of more sheltered than I made this one, but that's because this cabin's kind of in the middle of nowhere. You're not going to be overlooked by anybody, so I didn't really feel the need to like cover it. But yeah, that's why I wanted to make the back deck just a little bit bigger, and I also didn't want it to match the front too much, which I know sounds like a little bit of a silly concept, but sometimes I think with builds, when you make them too symmetrical, they often end up looking odd. I'm not making any sense now. But anyway, we have moved on to the interior of the build. Now, I was just getting a little bit, shall I use the word tired? Of the landscaping, and I think I was just getting like a little bit, not sick of the exterior, but this is when I moved on to the interior, and then I do at the end of the video end up going back out to the outside and we finish up the backyard area where we add all of our activities. But now this floor plan here, okay, so I actually involved my husband in this floor planning because when I got onto the inside of this build, I think I had in my head that it was going to be a little bit smaller than what it actually was, and then when I got in here, this is just a classic RachelPedd thing, I was like, oh, this build is actually quite a bit bigger than I had anticipated. But because we are going for more of like the weekend getaway cabin vibe, I think the open floor concept on the ground floor worked superbly. And then on the upper floor, I don't know if you noticed, the bedrooms are huge. Now, I was, again, very skeptical and very scared of that fact, but when I started putting the furniture in, it just made sense. Now, we do end up working on the living area. I'm doing the air bunnies, like the quote-unquote, the living area. I use a lot of items from Horse Ranch, and the colour I end up introducing on the interior is this like soft baby blue, baby powder blue, and I just think that worked so well with the honey woods. Like, this just looks superb. And another thing that I found really quite freeing with this build was that because it's a log cabin that you would come away for the weekend to, I didn't have to add much clutter to this build, which is something that, again, it did scare me because with my builds, if you've been around the channel for a while, you'll know that I do like my clutter. I do like to make my houses look really lived in, and I like to tell my Sims stories, or the Sims stories who I envision living in the house that I'm doing. I like to tell the stories through the items that I'm placing. And with this, because this is where your Sims would come for the weekend, you're not going to have that clutter here, because the families that visit here, or the Sims that visit here, they don't live here. They come here for a weekend getaway. So that was another thing that I was just trying to get comfortable with as I was moving through this build. But you can see the interior came together so much quicker than I thought it was going to. As soon as I kind of got my head around the fact that I wasn't able to add much clutter, I think I then just started to become a little bit more comfortable with the whole situation. And it was honestly so freeing for me to be able to do a build like this. I would love to do more of these types of builds on the channel. If you've got any comments or any ideas, please drop them down below in the comments boxes, and I'll definitely do my best to add them to my build list that I'm constantly adding to, so that when I'm feeling a little bit stuck and like I don't know what to build on that particular day, I'll often refer to this list. And some of the ideas are from myself, some of the ideas are from all of you. So yeah, if you've got any ideas, like any other weekend getaway like build vibes, please let me know down below. But I love to, like, can you see what I mean about you're able to smell that wood? Does anyone else, like, is anyone else smelling that right now? But yeah, anyway, it was super fun to access as well the Horse Ranch build buy catalogue. They're items that I haven't used for quite some time. When Horse Ranch was first released, I was obsessed with building houses and using a lot of items from this catalogue. Like, it is probably one of the better build buys that we've had from a pack. I believe Horse Ranch was a genuinely well-rounded pack, and it's a pack that I do really enjoy playing with. I am a little bit of I wouldn't say horse fiend, but I absolutely adore horses in real life. And so when Horse Ranch was announced, I was like, oh, this is so exciting. So it was really nice to see as well that the world was really nice and something that we hadn't really seen before. And the fact that they introduced the horses and then the build buy catalogue was just superb as well. So I was like, oh, this is such a good pack. So it was really nice for me to be able to access that pack and use some of these items in this build. It feels like it's been a long time since I've built in Chestnut Ridge. So this was another really sort of refreshing thing for me to put together. The kitchen, oh dear me. Right, okay, so let's talk about it. It's huge. It is an absolutely massive kitchen, and I suppose it does fit with the actual build itself. I'm not saying that it doesn't for a second, but wow, this really overwhelmed me. Honestly, kitchens this size terrify me. I talk about this all the time, and I think because the other rooms in the house so far had come together really quite effortlessly, I assumed that would be the case for the kitchen as well. Unfortunately, that was not the case, and I did have a bit of a struggle, and I did do some tweaking off camera as well. Nothing major, but you may well see in the screenshots at the end that there are some slight differences compared to what you're seeing within this footage here. But I think it looks okay. I think if I were to do this again, I would just completely remove those back counters, the ones that are just currently on the right hand side. I think I would just remove them completely, because I didn't really put anything, if at all, on any of those counters, so it's just wasted space. I think I could have maybe removed them and then added like a separate seating area perhaps, or just something else, but alas, it's already on the gallery. I've already taken the screenshots, and I'm terrible for this. I will start, once I've finished a build, I'll start picking it apart. The longer that I look at it, the longer like my brain just starts picking out everything that I think is wrong with the build. I do it all the time. I talk about it very frequently on the channel. I don't know if anybody else does this, but I am my own worst critic. Honestly, I'm absolutely terrible. And then I'll have a look at the build again a couple of months later, and I'll be like, oh, that's actually quite nice. I don't know why I was picking it apart so much, and then my brain will start doing it all over again. But anyway, I digress. I do apologize for the jumpy camera, particularly in the kitchen. I was pressing tab and moving the camera down just to make sure that I hadn't forgotten anything, and two, it was going to look okay for the screenshots, and I think I just about got away with it. But this is the first bedroom that we work on. I would class this as the main bedroom for the property. I think this is where, like, if you were coming away as a couple, I think this would be the preferred room, to be completely honest. I think looking back again, I would perhaps have given this its own ensuite, but because of the way that I'd placed the windows, I was not able to fit that in. But that's okay. It's absolutely fine, because the bathroom in this build is huge, and I was able to use pretty much every single item from the sleek bathroom kit, bar a couple. So it was really nice for me to be able to explore that kit as well, because I haven't really had the opportunity to use that to its full potential. But I knew when I had this idea in my mind for this build, I was like, oh, that sleek bathroom kit is going to come in so handy for this. And it absolutely did. So this room does have a fireplace with a couple of chairs here as well. I just think it looks so nice. And I think keeping the same fireplaces and also the same armchairs, I think that's quite realistic, because for me, it would, like, that's what would happen with a property like this. I don't know whether you'll agree or disagree with that one, but they're huge rooms. They're very simply decorated. Again, didn't want to go over the top with the clutter, but I did want to add 2 wardrobe spaces, because the cabin that my husband and I visit, there are multiple wardrobes in the rooms. And I think it's like a similar situation to what I had here, in that the rooms are that big. I think they just didn't know, like, what else to put in there. So they just ended up adding some, like, extra storage spaces, which is absolutely fine. And then I remembered that it was probably a good idea to add some curtains, particularly to the bedrooms. I didn't add any curtains or blinds to the ground floor. You're more than welcome to, sorry, if I can get my words out. You're more than welcome to make any adjustments that you require with this build. But I think for me, I think the ground floor, I was like, nah, I'm gonna keep it completely open. Big floor to ceiling windows, again, which I think would be typical of a cabin such as this. Now, I did want to go for a completely different colour scheme with this particular bedroom. I think this one is it bigger or small? Do you know what? I think this one's actually slightly bigger than the other bedroom. It doesn't have a fireplace. It does have access to the deck though. You can see there's just some doors there that access the deck, which is really nice. There's a little seating area over here just with a rug, a plant, and of course a lamp, because I was like, I don't really know what else to do in here, to be honest. And then just going through and adding some more curtains. And I did use the same curtains as I did in the other bedroom, but just in a different swatch for this one. And I do really like the fact that we started to explore a different colour scheme with this room. So we have mainly soft pinks and then like this really natural greeny colour, which was great until I had to try and find a piece of artwork to go above the bed. And I'm going to be honest, I struggled quite a bit. And then I just pulled out this wall decal from the Horse Ranch pack. I was like, oh, that's sort of perfect. Again, I didn't want to go over the top and start putting like a load of artwork all over the walls. I just wanted to try and keep it as simply decorated as possible to try and emulate the fact that this is a rental property and your Sims would not be leaving any of their belongings here. There wouldn't be any personal artwork on the walls. It's just not how that would have worked. So bathroom, absolutely huge. As you can see, there's a big bath. It's not a big bath, it's just a bath. Kind of in the center of the room. I wanted to make sure that it was set back from the window, because I think that would be typical with a room like this. I think maybe the bath would be slightly more centralized. The bath would probably be bigger, but I wanted to use some of the items from the sleek bathroom kit, as I had mentioned previously, and it's such a good kit. Honestly, I really enjoy this kit. And speaking of kits, actually, we are due 3 more, I think in just a few days' time. Thursday next week, where 3 more kits are going to drop. I think everyone is sharing the excitement for these 3 kits, because for me, I think the concepts are ones that we haven't really seen from kits as of yet. I'm particularly excited for the kitchen clutter one, But I'm also really intrigued to see the other two. I think one of the other ones is Golden Years, and then the other one is something like a restoration workshop sort of situation. I think a lot of people are speculating now, well, does this mean we're getting cars? We'll have to see, I suppose, what the year holds, but I'm very excited for those kits. Anyway, that's the interior completely done now. So it came together so fast, I was really surprised. And then this is where we work on the outside space here. So this is the hot tub that I was talking about earlier. Can you just imagine having a glass of wine or a beverage of your choosing, and you just sitting in the hot tub, taking in the views, like, oh, it's just, that's the dream. For me, that is the absolute dream. I also added some lounge chairs out here with like a little candle as well. I also added some wall candles near the hot tub as well, just to make it like a little bit more of a romantic spot, which I thought was really important. I did add some little chairs out here as well, so that you could perhaps enjoy your morning coffee and watch the sunrise or something like that. I just thought that was a really nice idea. And then I added a barbecue to the back, just in case your Sims want to nip to the local shop, get some burgers, set up the grill, again, a couple of drinks around the fire and just chill out. I also added this little picnic bench from, I think, which pack is that from? Oh, Snowy Escape. Oh, thank goodness I remembered it. And I love the fact that they've got like the little rugs, I call them rugs, over the seats. I just thought that was really sweet. And then I added this, I say swing set very loosely. I don't think your Sims swing on them. I think they just kind of like chill out on those. So I didn't envision that there were going to be any children visiting this property, but I suppose if there were, that would be absolutely fine. There's still plenty of things to do, but you might need to add a couple more like kid related activities, if that makes sense. So I also added a bar here as well. I thought that was really important, but that is pretty much it for this video. I can't believe how quickly this came together. But if you'd like to download this build, it's available from the gallery right now. My origin ID is RachelPedd. Tray files, as always, are linked down in the description box just below. You can get them for free from Sim File Share. But thank you so much everyone for joining me here today. I really hope you enjoyed this build. I cannot wait to read all of your amazing comments as always. But you all take care, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye!